I want to talk about time. People that I talk to universally say they don't have enough time. Executives say they're too busy and don't have time. Entrepreneurs are busy. People in private sector point to government sector employees and say, surely they have more time than I do. Everybody from senior leaders, executives, down to the individual contributors and organizations all seem to be starved for time. This may be true, and yet it's not going away. So to say I don't have time isn't really a helpful statement to make or a helpful sentiment. Instead, I want to suggest that saying I don't have time is a bit of a fallacy. It's universal and it feels like it's more of a symptom. Instead, I think probably what we're struggling with is how we prioritize and spend our time. For example, if we had a sick child or a sick pet, we would surely take time to get them in and have them looked at. If it's the dead of winter, we would find time to call the repair person and wait for that service call so that the furnace could get repaired. So when push comes to shove, we do somehow find time to do other things. I'm not saying it's easy. I know I have a pile of books, actually piles of books, that I'm so interested in reading and I don't have the time to read them. But instead of saying I don't have the time, I think it's more helpful to recognize that it's about prioritizing and saying instead I don't make the time. Sure, there are things that you can do to, find time in your day. Two that come to mind really quickly are folding time. In fact, Neve James wrote a great book called Folding Time and talks about how you can kind of double up on your effort. So for example, go for a walk and listen to a podcast at the same time. Another book, 10X is Easier Than 2X by Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy. They talk about who, not how. So what are all those tasks that you're doing that maybe you shouldn't be doing? Could you delegate something? Could you hire somebody to clean your house? Could you delegate something at work? In fact, there's a whole book, Who, Not How, on exactly that subject. So instead, I encourage you and myself to stop saying I don't have time and take ownership for the priorities and the choices we're making, and to say I don't make time. And for leaders and organizations, this means making the time to develop and coach your employees, because in doing so, it increases their capabilities, which means it ends up freeing up more of your time. That's a third strategy, so that you can do more strategic work and work that you love. So I'm curious, how are you prioritizing your time, and how can you change your priorities to reflect the values and the things that are important to you?